Today we are going to make quick beef pot pie. Yes, delicious. You know how I say I don't like to throw anything away. So, frozen beef steak with gravy. It's already in gravy, but we're gonna make some more. My favorite frozen vegetables. This has carrots, corn, green beans, and green peas. Can't do anything without my aminos. My spices. This is granulated onion powder, granulated garlic powder. Trick about this granulated onion powder is it was caked up in this container because moisture kind of seeps in as you're cooking. You're in a humid kitchen, you're taking spices out, it clumps together. It happens. So guess what I did today? I took my spice grinder that's sitting back here. I put these spices inside of it, ground them again, and now they're all loose and ready to go. Pepper, pink Himalayan salt, just a touch of cayenne pepper that we're gonna put in here. And since a pot pie has to have potatoes in it, and of course this bag does not have potatoes, we're gonna add potatoes. And I'm gonna use my little petite potatoes. I have 2, 4, 6 potatoes. We may not use all of them. And I spiced it up a little bit. I have purple ones in here, red ones in here. So it's gonna look yummy. Got a little thyme. And for this recipe, I am going to use phyllo dough. You can make your own pie crust. I'm just not that type of girl. One thing I did not learn from my grandmother before she passed away was how to make those delicious biscuits that she used to make every morning. So I don't really like pie crust on my pot pie. The great thing about this pot pie is we're going to make the filling. With this phyllo dough, you can take out as much as you want, bake it in the oven, lay it on top of your pot pie mixture, and that way it doesn't get dried out. Because that's the biggest problem with pot pies, is that you make it, you put that crust on top of it, all of that good stuff tastes really good for the first day, and then the second day, it is dry as a bone. Eliminate that by making individual sheets, baking them in the oven, and using them when you're warming up your filling. Just lay that delicate phyllo dough or biscuit dough or whatever it is that you're putting on top of it, and go for it. I'm gonna pull my hair back. We're gonna come back. We're gonna start cooking. Let's get started. I brought something else to the party. Forgot about the onion. Gotta get some flavor in there. We're gonna turn our stove on. We're gonna take our frozen meat out and dump it into the frying pan. We're just trying to get it unthawed or thaw it. And while we're thawing that, we will work on chopping up our veggies. This is a great recipe. It's very, very quick to do when you're coming home from work and you want something fast. I'm gonna use the bag that I took my meat out of for a garbage bag. So dice my onion up really fine. Gotta keep my hands out of the way. My knife is sharp, super sharp. And once this meat thaws, as it starts thawing, I am going to take it out of the pan and I'm going to chop it up in small pieces because right now it's in strips. So I got my onion diced. Now I'm going to start working on my potatoes. These are tiny, so I'm going to cut them half. I'm going to cut them in fours. That's a nice sized potato to have in a pot pie. And I've already washed these potatoes. We're going to boil these potatoes a little bit prior to putting them in our pot pie mixture. So I need to get me a pot out. So get that going. It's thawing, it's looking good. So we got our onions, our potatoes, and we have some thyme here that I'm not even gonna bother with pulling off the sprig. I'm just gonna chop it up real nice and fine because it is fresh thyme. And no, I did not get this out of my garden. I actually bought this from a grocery store in one of those little small containers because my thyme for this year is gone. It's dead. Remember when I said I was going to come back and show you the phyllo dough? I purchased this, but I typically do not purchase this when I'm making my pot pie. They make phyllo dough that comes in a pastry shell. It's probably about that big around. My water is boiling. I'm going to add some pink Himalayan salt to the water while I boil my potatoes. Just add them in the pot. Yum. And we're just going to cook those till they're just slightly tender because we're going to add it in here. My meat is thawing and it's to the point where it's still kind of frozen but manageable. So I'm just going to cut it into chunks. Anything will do. You can do chicken pot pie, same way. You have cooked chicken, roasted chicken that you bought from the grocery store, and you're not going to discard it because you need to keep all the food you can nowadays. Really, any day. You should not have been throwing away food. So these are cut in nice little chunks. I'm going to add it back to my pot. Get my next section over here. Chunk it up. Add it back to the pot. Those are pretty. They could be chunked up a little bit more. And you see that little bit of beef after you cut it into your chunks. It becomes a lot of meat that you would have just discarded or whatever people do nowadays with food that they don't want. Okay, this goes in the sink for washing later. Let's concentrate on the meat that we have in here now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our onions in here that we chopped up. Our thyme. It's all added to the party. I'll wrap that up for later. In the sink for washing later. Now, add our seasonings. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Remember, I don't like to use a lot of salt, so we're going to use just a 1/4 teaspoon of Himalayan salt. 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. We can always adjust. 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. 1/2 teaspoon garlic powder. 1/8 teaspoon, 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Just a little bit of spice. And the great thing about this, if you hear that water that's boiling for those potatoes, we're going to use that water in here for our liquid to our pot pie. And remember I said this already had gravy on it. We're just going to thicken it up a little bit with the surrey. The flour and water. Okay, so now we're back on our meats. Let's check on our potatoes. Oh, potatoes just right. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to add our potatoes in here. I'm going to leave a little bit of that liquid because it's hot, and that's what we need in order to make our thickening agent for our pot pie. Get a spoon. And I'm just going to get a heaping teaspoon of flour. I'm going to mix it in this hot water because that's going to be, we don't want to introduce something cold into the mix. So I didn't get it as thin as I wanted to, but that's okay. I'm going to take a spoonful of this and I'm just going to swirl it around in my mixture. And you can see it's already thickening. And look at that. Thick. We're going to take our aminos. You know how many squirts I am. I'm a 2-squirt girl. 1, 2, and that's the reason why we don't add that much salt, is because aminos has salt in it, but it's not as high in sodium as just pouring a ton of salt into your food. So we're going to taste it right now. I'm going to get a little piece of beef. That's tasty, y'all. Now for our veggies. They're about to join the party. Put as many veggies as you like in here. I usually do half a bag. Veg life. Let's stir it. And that's what we're looking at right now. Beef pot pie filling. I'm gonna run my water, my hot water, and get that going because I want to add just a little bit more juice to this, just a little bit more. I just want to add a little bit more so I can cook these veggies. So we're going to get our water ripping hot. And remember, you can make this pot pie filling as thick as you want it to. I wouldn't mind having it velvety smooth with a little bit of cream. So let's add some cream. I know you're going to say tea is going to curdle, but we're going to swirl really fast as we add it in. And I had just enough cream for that. So there we go. Hello. Hello. Okay, it took me a couple of stops. This is what the box looks like. So as you can see, it is a whole disc. And oh, look there. On the back, it's got a pot pie recipe. It's for chicken, not for beef. But we're gonna go ahead and turn the oven on. I'm going to put these on the baking sheet, and just to give you a look of what they look like out of the box, let's open it up. And I have this puff pastry here, but no, I don't like to throw anything away, so I'm gonna put that in a Ziploc freezer bag. And later on, I'll sprinkle some cinnamon sugar on it and put it on some kind of dessert. I'll find a way to use it. But here they are. So they look kind of tiny, but they puff up to be pretty big. So this is what they look like. We're going to put these on the baking sheet and bake them. I'll show you after they're done how I assemble the pot pie. Puff pastry is done. This is what it looks like once it's out of the oven. It has a little cap that sits down in there. You can just take that off. Now we're going to fill it. All that pot pie juice goes down into the little puff pastry. Get me a lot of veggies on there. Take my little cap, put it back on the top. Let's taste it. This is our finished product. Isn't that cute? It's so adorable. Cut down in there. Get some of that puff pastry, some veggies, piece of meat. I added a couple of mushrooms too, y'all. That's the pot of gold. That's delicious. That's what I was looking for. One more bite. Let's just make sure it is true. That's pretty doggone good. Like I mentioned before, you can bake up at least 3 or 4 of these. You have your pot pie filling. Oh, excuse me. You have your pot pie filling. If that is a little dry, you can always add some water to it. and reconstitute it. Because remember, once your pot pie is done with the crust and all of that on top of it, there is no reconstituting that. It will taste horrible because it has a crust and it's dry as all get out. This is the way to go. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe, okay?